Students, in the last class, we introduced the OSI reference model. Today, let's take a look at the OSI Seven-Layer Model. First, let's review the main content of the last class. In computer networks, to reduce the complexity of network design, network protocols are organized into layers. The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, proposed the OSI Seven-Layer Network Model in 1974. The OSI reference model has been widely accepted by many vendors and has become the standard that guides the development of networks. The meaning of Open Systems Interconnection, OSI, is that any two different network systems can be interconnected as long as they follow the OSI reference model standards. The OSI reference model provides only some fundamental principles for computer network systems and is not a specific network implementation. It divides the entire network's functionality into 7 layers, from bottom to top, including physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. The communication between layers is achieved through interfaces. Upper layers make service requests to lower layers through interfaces, and lower layers provide services to upper layers through interfaces. When two computer hosts, host A and host B, communicate over the network, apart from the physical layer, there is no direct communication among corresponding layers. The communication is carried out through protocols of related layers. The actual data transfer occurs between the two ends physical layers through the transmission medium. It's essential to note that the data unit at the physical layer is called a bit. The data unit at the data link layer is called a frame, and at the network layer, it's called a message. The data units at the remaining layers are referred to as TPDU, SPDU, PPDU, APDU. Students only need to have a general understanding of these concepts. In the 7-layer model, the bottom 4 layers, physical layer, data link layer, network layer, and transport layer, are referred to as the data flow layer. The layers above them, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer, are referred to as the data layer, specifically the upper data layer. Now, let's introduce the data flow layer. The bottommost layer is the physical layer, which primarily functions to transmit bits between devices and defines electrical characteristics, line speeds, and cable pinouts. Some examples of standard interfaces and cables are EIA, TIA 232, and V35. Next is the data link layer, which has the primary functions of combining bits into bytes, then framing bytes into frames, using MAC addresses to access the media, and performing error detection. Some examples of protocols at this layer include 802.2 and 802.3, as well as HDLC protocol. The network layer's main function is to provide logical addressing for routers to determine paths. A prominent example of a protocol at this layer is IP, Internet Protocol. The transport layer's primary function is to provide reliable or unreliable data transmission and perform error detection before retransmission. It commonly uses protocols like TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, and UDP, User Datagram Protocol. Now let's take a look at the upper data layer, which includes the session layer. Its main function is to separate the data from different applications, such as handling operating system and application scheduling. Next is the presentation layer, which primarily handles data representation, special data processing, encryption, and decryption operations. Some examples include ASCII encoding, JPG graphic format data processing, and more. The application layer provides interfaces for users. Some examples of protocols at this layer are commonly used protocols like Telnet and FTP. Above is the content of our class today. Through the study, we have learned about the OSI Seven-Layer Reference Model and the functions and examples of each layer. Now, please complete the following assignments. Short answer questions. 1. What are the data units corresponding to the physical layer, data link layer, and network layer? 2. What are the 7 layers of the OSI reference model? What are the functions of each layer? Please provide some examples to illustrate. All right. That's the end of today's class.